Hello, I'm Katie, and welcome back to That Hygge Life, where my focus is helping you build strong foundations in every area of life so that you can reach your goals, all while staying comfortable, confident, and content in each step along the way. Today, we're going to be talking about finances and how to make your dream financial plan while keeping it realistic to your life. I wanted to start this video off by prefacing a couple things. First, I am not a financial expert at all. So everything I say or talk about or any tips and tricks I give to you are from my personal experience, and I am just sharing them with you guys. Making a financial plan and talking about finances is actually pretty simple. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but it is actually pretty simple once you just sit down, take a deep breath, and start to look at it. So if anything that I say during this video sounds really obvious, or if I repeat myself, it's just because it's, again, pretty simple. But I know from experience and just how I like to learn is sitting down, talking through things, watching a video, listening to someone talk about something. It just makes it a lot easier, no matter how simple or complex that issue or that thing you're trying to work on is. So, not a financial expert. This is just from experience. This is just what my husband and I do when we are making our budget for the month and how we figured out a budget that works for us. Next, I wanted to say that all of the numbers that we'll be using, or that I'll be using throughout this video, are just rough estimations. They're kind of like rounded out numbers. It's just gonna make the video flow a little bit easier, gonna make the math a little bit easier, but these are not like our real numbers that we use. During the first step, we'll talk about the real numbers, but then throughout, they'll all just kind of be like rounded out, and we'll talk about that once we get there. And thirdly, I'm filming at home with my dogs, so if you hear them in the background, they're just really vocal, and I'll try to edit around it as much as I can, but you might hear some growling and barking from them just wrestling around. All right, and with all of that out of the way, we can get started on making a dream financial plan while keeping it realistic to your life. I am taking all of the information, tips and tricks, numbers, all that kind of stuff from my blog post that you can check out in the description below. So if you want to read a little bit more, or if reading along is better than watching a video for you, feel free to click that link and see all the steps kind of written out. So let's start with a deep breath and get started on step number 1. So step number 1, again, pretty obvious, pretty simple. First, you have to figure out how much you actually make in a month. We are doing just like a general monthly budget, and this is going to be the first step in your financial plan of making your dreams a reality. So first you have to figure out how much you actually make. And the way to do that is to go through these few questions here. The first 4 questions here are just figuring out how much you actually make in a month from like your hourly wage job. If you work a salary job, a lot of this doesn't apply to you because you just get like a regular paycheck, just the same amount every paycheck. So it's gonna be a lot easier for you. But for my husband and I, we do work an hourly job. We both make about $12 an hour. Like I said, everything's gonna be just kind of rounded off into a nice number. So we're just gonna round it around to $12 an hour for both of us. We usually work about 40 hours a week. Our taxes that come out of each paycheck are about 10%, and we are paid bi-weekly, so we each get usually 2 paychecks per month. But since there's both of us and our finances are obviously together, we can just say that we get technically 4 paydays a month. We will go through and do all of this math in just a second, but the last question is adding in any other income that you normally have on a general monthly basis. So my husband buys and sells things like from thrift stores, so he'll buy something, clean it up, either fix it or just clean it up in general, and then he'll sell it for a little bit more money on like eBay and Amazon and that kind of thing. He doesn't do it a ton, so we usually don't include it in our budget. Sometimes he's more into it than not, where we can include kind of a rough estimate. But then again, shopping at thrift stores and selling things is kind of a up in the air game. So usually we don't add that in, and we aren't really doing anything else to get more income or get other income or anything like that. But I know other people do work multiple jobs, or they could pick up side work on the weekends or in the evenings. I know some people who have a full-time job, but then they babysit on the weekends. So this is the time to really think about, on a monthly, just general monthly basis, how much income do you really have coming in? Do you get tips from your job? Do you get like donations? Anything like that. So this is the time to add it all together for your general month. The best way to have a financial plan, to stick with a financial plan, and to actually grow and reach your dreams financially is keeping track of every dollar as closely as you can. So for my husband and I, we don't really have any other sources of income right now, so we can just do this math. If we do $12 an hour times 40 hours a week, we are paid bi-weekly, so we'll multiply that by 2. We take out taxes, which we can just move the decimal place over because it's 10%. It makes it a little bit easier. So minus $96. That's about $8.64 per paycheck. And then we'll multiply this. So $8.64, and then that would be per one paycheck. We both get paid 2 paychecks a month, and it's both of us. So this is times 4 is about $3,456 a month. And like I said, we're just rounding everything up for this video. So when I was originally doing the math, I just kind of rounded this up to 1,000. Sometimes he can get a lot of overtime, so it really is closer to 1,000. So we're just gonna make it super easy and just put it at 4,000 a month. Now I know that that is quite a big step. It's about $500 difference, but like I said, sometimes we go overtime, sometimes he does that buying and selling thing and all of that. Just for simplicity's sake, we're just gonna round it up, make it a flat, even amount. Obviously, if we were doing this for real, we would actually look up our hours for the week. We would actually look at past paychecks and get the 100% like correct tax number, all of that kind of stuff. We're just gonna round it up to about 4,000 is coming in every month. Step 2 is figuring out your need to pay bills. So these are the bills that you have to pay every single month to survive. These things would be paying for rent, paying for your insurances, utilities, your phone bill, and your internet bill. I know some people might argue that a phone bill and internet bill aren't necessities for surviving, but I feel like in this day and age, they really kind of are. For a lot of jobs, you have to have a personal phone so that you can be contacted. And for a lot of jobs, you need the internet. And just for living in this day and age, you kind of need to have internet. So I included them in the need to pay bills. I'm not saying you have to have like the most up-to-date phone. I'm not saying you have to have the most expensive internet or anything like that. You can pay the lowest amount you possibly can. You can have the lowest phone bill, you can have the lowest internet bill, and still be completely fine. I just think in today's day and age, they're kind of necessities. Let's start talking about the amounts for these. Our insurances, we pay car insurance, renter's insurance, and health insurance. I think most people pay those. Our health insurance actually comes from work, and it's already calculated into our paychecks, so we don't need to worry about that. So we just have to calculate our car insurance and renter's insurance, and that is actually from the same company. So it's just one flat, easy bill of about $145. Our rent is usually around $1,000. Most of our utilities are actually included into our rent. The other utilities, or one utility that's not included with our rent, is our electricity bill. So that, for simplicity's sake, again for math, is usually around $100. Again, sometimes more, sometimes less. It really just depends on how much we have the air conditioning or the heat on, depending on the weather outside. Next is our phone bill, which is kind of hefty at $250 a month. My husband and I both do value having a more up-to-date phone, so our phone bill is a little bit higher. We both also have our Apple Watches on our phone bill, and I believe my husband has a pair of really nice Bluetooth headphones from our phone company, so our bill is kind of high, but it's something that we value and we use every single day, and it really adds to our life. Lastly in this category is our internet, which is about $75 a month. So now we add all of that up. So we have 145 plus 1,000 plus 100 plus 250 plus 75 equals 1,570. So these are our have to pays, need to pays for surviving monthly charged bills. Next, moving to step 3, are our monthly want bills. So these bills are the expenses that have the same amount that comes out every month, maybe a tiny bit more or less depending on the service, but they are not necessary for living. Yes, they're nice, we like to have them, but we don't need to have our gym membership to survive, whereas we do have to pay our rent. So that's kind of the difference here. This is the part where once you've added everything up and you really figure out how much you have in each category, you can go back and see where you could cut costs and where you need to cut costs. We actually do have quite a few subscription services that we are a part of, and I feel like realistically, we probably could cut back on a lot of those. Just like if money did get a lot tighter, we could definitely cut down on our phone bill. We would just need to talk to our phone company and see how to get out of some of the things that we have. Moving on to step 3, our wanted bills. These are not needed, just wants, but it's a set number, so it's easy to add up and put into our general budget. So for our gym membership, we pay about $50 a month. It's a family membership just because it's more than one person, so it's actually a discounted price, which is really nice. But we pay about $50 a month for our gym, and then for our subscriptions, it comes out to $105 a month. I actually thought it was gonna add up to a lot more than this, so I'm kind of pleasantly surprised that it's only $100. For our subscriptions, we have Apple Music, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, a couple of apps that help us with our YouTube things and posting to Instagram and that kind of stuff. My husband is also a YouTuber, and I also use those apps and services to help with my blog. So some of them are like business expenses, but we're not a business quite yet, so they're just expenses right now. That is all of our subscriptions and our gym membership, and that comes out to $155 a month, and that's step 3. Jumping down to step 4 are the you set the amounts budgeted category. So these are things that you should be budgeting every month, figuring out the concrete numbers for each one of these things, but it's not a bill that just comes out automatically each month. It's something that you really do have to sit down and figure out how much goes in each of these categories. How much do you realistically need, and how much do you want to have in these categories as well. This step 4, you set the amount category, breaks down into 4 different parts. There's clothing, groceries, gas, and savings. So since I've already looked at these numbers ahead of time, and since I've kind of rounded everything off to make the math really simple for us, each one of these categories is actually getting $200 other than savings. We're actually going to skip savings for right now, and we'll come back to that after we do step 5. Like I said just a minute ago, these are amounts that you pick, you set. You have to kind of look back through months past and figure out how much you're actually spending in each of these categories to get an accurate number. And you don't have to spend all of this money every month. Like for clothing. We don't usually buy a lot of clothing, but sometimes we do need things. Either they wear out, or we need a new uniform or something for work, or something could come up and we need a special outfit for an event or something. So clothing set at $200 is a pretty good number for us. Usually we just have kind of like a set $200 set aside instead of like adding more to that budgeted category, like rolling over what we didn't spend the month before. You could definitely do that if you would like to, and maybe once you get up to a really high number, you can get a whole new wardrobe or something like that. However you want to budget it. Again, you're figuring out your financial dream, so if that's what you would like to do and that's what works best for you, do it. You got the power. And talking about gas, gas is actually really cheap right now, and we didn't even spend $100 on gas this month, but usually it is a lot more expensive. So gas, we usually do actually use all of the $200. And like I said, we're gonna skip over savings for right now, but we can go ahead and total this up to $600. And we will flip over to step 5, which is the fun and random spending category. This is really the category that you have to really look at and set boundaries for yourself. This is the category where money seems to disappear for a lot of people. If you're not setting a budget, if you're not following the budget that you set, this is the category where all of your money is going. If you look back on the month and you have no savings to put in, you need to get gas but you don't have any more money, you are out of groceries but you can't go grocery shopping, you actually do need some new clothes but again, you're out of money for the month, this is the culprit. The fun and spending, eating out, all of that kind of stuff category. This is the part where you really need to focus in and take the time to set amounts and then actually follow through with them throughout the month. Whether you're tracking every day or you just take the weekend and look over your spending from that week and add everything up to make sure you're still on budget. This is the category that's really gonna make a big difference in your finances. And like I said, for the last step, I already know what these numbers are because I've already looked at the math. But again, pause the video, do what you need to do to calculate and figure out how much you actually need in these categories and how much you actually want / can put into these categories. I already know that each one of these is going to get 200, again like the last one, and it's going to equal 600. We have eating out as something separate because we usually eat out together or it's a date night and we don't want to take that out of either of our spendings, so it just makes a lot more sense to have its own budgeted line. And then we have my husband's and my spending separate. This is kind of like the no questions asked money. We each have $200 to get whatever we would like that month and just to figure it out. So this is kind of the, again, no questions asked. This is your spending money. Spend it on whatever you want. If you blow it in one night, then that's it. That's all your spending money. So that is just how we do our budget. That is pretty much all of the steps. We do have a step 6 right down here of putting it all together, but we're gonna flip back over to our savings real fast. And now that we have everything categorized out, we know how much we make, we know how much we need to pay, want to pay, and how much we need to have in our fun categories so we don't blow the entire budget. We can come back over to savings and figure out how much we have left and how much we actually can realistically save every single month. And I've already said it a few times in this video, I already know these numbers, so I know it's going to be 1,000 that we can put into savings every single month. So that'll be 1,600 in that category. So now we can come back over to step 6 and put it all together. So roughly, again, this is all rounded up nicely. how much we make is $4,000. Our needed bills are $1,570. Our wanted bills are $155. Our you set the amounts category comes out to $1,600, and the fun and spending comes out to $600. Now we can look and make sure this equals 0 or close to 0. If there's any extra or leftover from going through all of these categories, you can either just directly put that back into savings and just bump up your savings amount a little bit, or you can keep that as a miscellaneous emergency money for that month. Usually, if there's any left over from doing the calculations, it's not going to be a ridiculous amount. If it is, you need to go back through and spread it out evenly in the categories that you feel like need a little bit more. We're gonna start with our $4,000 coming in, minus our needed bills, which is $1,570, minus our wanted bills, $155, minus our you set the amount category, $1,600, minus $600 for our fun, and that leaves us with $75 of miscellaneous emergency just for this month money. Again, like I said, it's not a ton. It's not going to make a ton of difference if we did put that into a category to make it equal out to 0. But if we end the month and we followed through on our budget in every single category, we can just add 75 to our savings, and every little bit helps. And there you have it, the first step in making your dream financial plan. And since you've used your actual money that you have coming in, your actual income calculated with taxes coming out and everything, this is completely realistic to your life. You can wake up tomorrow and make this your reality. All you have to do is change your mindset about money a little bit. But that's another video. I hope you've liked today's video, and until next time, remember, the world needs you. Keep going, keep dreaming, keep reaching your goals. See you next time.